Here, hello world. It's time for part 3 of the stream. This should be the last part of the Wilds of Eldraine set review, reaction thingy that we've been doing. Welcome in. I know it has taken me a few days, hasn't it? I've been watching The Fall of the House of Usher on Netflix, which was, I think it was good. I really enjoyed it, and it was exactly everything I was expecting it to be, and the end was exactly everything I was expecting it to be as well. And yet somehow when it did get to the end, it did make me think, well, what was the point of all that? It was Succession. Yeah, only every week one of the kids gets murdered, and the crypt keeper turns up to kind of laugh evilly and be slightly involved in the murders. I don't know, it felt like it was a lot of fun as it was going along, and then you get to the end and you just like, well, there wasn't much to it, was there? But I liked it. Watch it, give it a go, see what you think. Let's us, though, in the meantime, crack on with our review. How many pages have we got left? 15 pages of 24. Oh, we might get a couple of hours out of this stream. Who knows? I had to check where I was. It's been a few days since the last part. I had to check where I was last time. I was at Redcap Gutter Dweller. And my apologies for the last stream. For some reason, the video quality just went zoom after a few minutes on the last one. You couldn't read what the hell was going on. So I'm really sorry about that. There's not much I can do about it, I don't think. Or maybe there is. I'm going to do this stream. We'll see if it happens again. I'll look into it. Maybe it would help if something was moving on the screen. Maybe I should turn on the little camera there. Oh, maybe I should go, hello, maybe I should turn this thing on in the bottom of the screen so there's something moving. But I don't really like doing that. I'm not going to be looking at the camera most of the time. I'm not an accomplished broadcaster on camera. So you're just going to be looking at my nose most of the time, especially because the camera's like round the side of this tablet rather than the top of the bottom because of how it's built. But let's crack on. It says there's one person in. That might be Main Loop. Hello, if you're Main Loop. Or it might be me. I don't think it is me because I'm not actually logged on my own PC. I'm going to go and log in on my PC so that I can read the chat. Yeah, that's me. So that I can read the chat. Yeah, that's my voice going up there. Is it going to say that there are 2 people on now? No, it's not going to say that there are 2 people on now. Video's quality still seems a little bit low, doesn't it, on the text? Who knows? We'll crack on. We'll just kind of see how it all turns out. Did we do Redcap Thief last time? Oh, it's not a very interesting card if we did do it, is it? It does that. Those are the things that it does. Let's move on. Red Tooth Genealogist. When this creature enters the battlefield, gains the Royal Roll. Oh, do you know what I've forgotten to do? It was Chrome we were in, weren't we? I believe. So I shouldn't need to go too far. Just so I've got the rolls in the background. So I know it was the Royal Roll, isn't it? And the Royal Roll, we should have remembered by now, because that's always the one I'm forgetting, is the one that does the ward thing, isn't it? Okay, so we don't really care about that. Regal Bunnycorn. Beginning of its turn, it gets power and toughness plus X plus X. X is a number of creatures you control, including their reinforcements. Bit pointless for a rare, isn't it? Bit pointless. One for the Johnnies. One for the very not particularly discerning Johnnies either. I won't really care about that, will they? Return from the Wilds. Choose one. Fetch the first land card from your library. It gains 3 mana. Option B, create a food token, then create a human token. Both extraordinarily low power effects. We don't care. Return the first creature that costs... Just do them both in that case. Return the first creature that costs 7 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, and then that creature gains the young hero. I believe Rocco costs 7 or less, doesn't it? I can't see anybody giving a toss about Rocco. Rocco, of course, has X mana, so there's a little question over whether X will be 0 if we were to get it back out, or if you've paid X, maybe if you've paid X one time. This is how it works with Joda, isn't it? You have to actually make sure you pay the X at some point with Rocco, and then in the future, after that, after you've paid the X one time, X gets to be a lot. But I don't think that even the Rocco players are going to care about that one. When an enchantment enters play under your control, target creature gets stun counter 1. You okay? Yeah, all right. That's a decent enough common, isn't it? But we actual players don't care about it. Rotisserie elemental. Okay, fair enough. 6 mana 1/1. At the beginning of combat, if this creature has imminent death, discard the last card from your. Well, that's a terrible sentence. There better be a lot of really good stuff written on this card, because that sentence is awful. When this creature deals combat damage to your opponent's planeswalker, reinforce it. Right, it becomes a 2/2 from a 1/1. I mean, that's pretty terrible, isn't it? Activate 3 red. You may have this creature gain imminent death. When this creature dies or loses a reinforcement, draw a card. Oh, that's just such low power. Such low power. We do not care. Rowan, of course, we've seen before. Rowan is available in Battle from the Ages, and yeah, pretty good card, we think. Did Rowan cost 11? For some reason, I seem to remember Rowan costing 9. Anyway, she costs 11 now. Whatevs. But yeah, I think she's going to be pretty good. To be honest, royal treatment. Target creature gets the royal roll. Hang on, isn't the royal roll get hexproof and vigilance? Oh right, okay. It has to give it hexproof now because it's not gonna. The royal roll's not gonna kick in till next turn. Just a general programming fault. We generally don't like giving things. There might have been a time in gaming history when we cared about giving our creatures hexproof, but I don't think anybody cares about giving their creatures hexproof these days, do they? When this creature attacks, convert 2 gems to red or green. Wrong time, sorry. When it attacks, it's the wrong time to convert. If you control a creature with power 2 or greater, this card gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Everything's dull there. Everything's dull. When an enchantment card you control is destroyed, this creature gets +1/+1 permanently. Yeah, it's pointless. Scalding Viper. When an opponent casts a card. Oh, have we seen this one? I think we might have seen this one before. Deal X damage to opponent's planes where X is 3 plus this creature's reinforcements. Yes, there's the possibility of this being kind of an anti-combo thing, but it's a bit of a small 2/1 creature to be doing it. What's the other side of this? Steam Clean. 9 mana, return target creature to its owner's hand. Okay, that's pretty expensive for a basic bounce spell like that, unfortunately. So, yeah. I don't even want to call it high shit tier, really, because when you're mastering this, you know, the anti-combo effect of it is pointless, and it's a bit small to be beating people up with. But you do, you know, get it stapled to a bad removal spell, and bad removal spells are fine for mastery. So, moving on. When this creature deals combat damage to your opponent's planeswalker, gain a food token. We don't care. Kind of like the art? Yeah, go on. Let's like the art. I'm going to like the art today, I've decided. When this creature enters the battlefield, fetch the first card with adventure from your library. You may exile target player's graveyard. Low power in it. Low power in it. It's just possible that there's just one amazing adventure card that you want to play with. But even then, the fact that you fetch it, it doesn't gain mana, you exile your opponent's graveyard, which, you know, marginal effect. You need a lot of value added to that effect, and this card just doesn't have it. Sorry. Oh, now Serra's Sanctum. Serra's Sanctum is part of a cycle of lands back in Urza's block that included the ultimately broken Talarian Academy, and the nearly as broken, but definitely not quite as broken, Gaia's, what's it? Hang on, Gaia's Cradle, that's what it's called. I don't know if Gaia's Cradle is restricted in Vintage. You'd think it is, but maybe Vintage is so ridiculously broken that, you know, people don't care and you can play with 4 of them. No, I don't think it's even restricted in Legacy, actually, Gaia's Cradle. I think you can go crazy with Gaia's Cradles, I think. Serra's Sanctum does see play in Legacy, but only, you know, in those very few heavy enchantment decks. There might only be one of them. And who even knows if it's a viable tier 1 or tier 2 deck these days. What I'm saying, all this waffle is an aid of, is that this is a good card. So let's see what this Puzzle Quest version is like. At the beginning of your turn, convert X gems to white. X is 2 plus the number of enchantment cards you control, including their reinforcement. So if you just play it turn 1, you're getting a conversion rate of 2, which is a bit poo, but considering it's going to go upwards for you playing enchantments, that's okay. If you don't control an enchantment card, target creature gets the Royal Roll, which is a hexproofy thing, hexproofy wardy thing. Yeah, okay. When an enchantment card enters play under your control, this support gets 1 shield. Okay. I mean, it's okay. As lands go, I mean, it is definitely one of the best lands we've got at the moment in Standard. But that is only because the lands in Standard are piss poor these days. What's an incredibly cheap enchantment card that you can slap down for value? See, I can't even think of one these days. Is Curse of Surveillance still in Standard? Maybe Curse of Surveillance is still in Standard. That's an amazing enchantment card. I think it's an enchantment card. It's okay as a land. It's hardly completely broken. But, you know, once you've got a couple of enchantments in play, it's converting 4 gems. It's okay. It's an okay land. It's not making me excited to play either A, lands, B, enchantments, or C, white in Standard. Pajami's tokens are all artifacts, aren't they? They aren't enchantments. That would be silly if they were enchantments. It's an okay card. I'm not excited by it. Charade of the Numbing Depths. She doesn't sound very interesting to have around at parties. When this creature enters the battlefield, target creature gets stun counter 2. That's probably not enough, isn't it? We've seen nice high numbers like stun counter 5 we've seen in this set. Stun counter 2 is a bit bleh. When an opposing creature gets stun counter, draw a card. That card gains 1 mana. Yeah, bleh. Bleh. Shattergang Brothers. Bargain. Now, bargain's one where you're selecting role support or none. Create 2 foe tokens. Destroy 10 gems of your opponent's planeswalker's colors. When a card you control is destroyed during your turn, destroy an opposing card at random. That's interesting. So that's where the food tokens are coming in. Presumably that happens when you bargain as well. So if you play this guy, you bargain away a support or a roll, it gets destroyed. It immediately destroys one of your opponent's cards. Now, cards in general tends to mean either supports or creatures, but not vanguards, doesn't it? That's what card means on Teferi, Hero of Dominaria. I think that's what card means on whatever that 2/3 blue-white thing is that disables things. I can't remember the name of. This is decent enough. It's decent enough. Am I going to get excited about this card? I mean, I could see a world where I play this in standard events. It's quite build around. It's not really quite build around, is it? It's just all you need to do is have things and blow them up. I'm reticent because I love my supports. That's what it is. I'm going to have to blow up my supports to play with this. That just makes me a bit reticent to do it. But to blow up one of my supports, to blow up one of my opponent's supports, is okay if I happen to be playing against an opponent like Bajami, who, you know, who slaps tokens into play all over the place. Then I might come off worse, you know. Destroying a thing that I control to destroy something that Greg controls. I might come off worse off that. This is an interesting card, and it might be really great. Certainly worth looking for. I'm going to keep an eye out for that one. I might try and get hold of that. Don't know, not sure what's in the current Elite booster, but that seems kind of interesting. So you bargain when it comes into play. You create 2 food tokens, which are going to help you blow up your opponent's stuff, and you destroy 10 gems of your opponent's Planeswalker colors, which might well create some kind of cascade. I mean, there's just everything's good value on there, isn't it? That seems like a really good card to me. Seems like a really good card. I'll be getting one of those. Skybeast Tracker. When you cast a card with base cost 15 or greater, create a food token. We so don't care about that. Sleep Cursed Fairy. This was a terrible. Presumably there's something in paper, yeah. Presumably there's a theme in paper that goes to when you cast expensive spells. It won't be 15 cost in paper, but there'll be a when you cast an expensive spell, do a thing in paper. They've tried to port it over to Puzzle Quest, and it's a very uninteresting mechanic to have in Puzzle Quest. Very wise of them not to name it, I think, to draw attention to the fact that they have a terrible mechanic that nobody gives a shit about. Sleep Cursed Fairy. 6 mana 3/3. When this creature enters the battlefield, create X curse removal tokens. Support can't be reinforced. When the support is destroyed, target creature you control loses stun counter 1. Oh, well, who cares about that? Create X curse removal tokens. Then this creature gains stun counter X. X is equal to 3 minus the number of this creature's reinforcements. What? So I'm going to play this creature. This is very weird, isn't it? This creature gets stun counter X is 3 minus the number of this creature's reinforcements. Oh, okay. So it's got no reinforcements. I mean, why? And it's got hexproof as well. So it's a 6 mana 3/3 that for some reason the devs think I care about. Why would I care about a 6 mana 3/3? You know, they're thinking, well, it's above the curve, Steve. Normally you get a 6 mana 2/2, Steve. You get an Orchard Spirit. This time you're getting the awesome power of a 3/3, which is why it needs to stun itself when it comes into play and do this weird thing with curse removal. If your combo players can figure out something silly to do with the curse removal tokens, then enjoy yourselves. But that seems like a waste of everybody's time to me. You know, if a card's going to have a drawback, it needs to be much better than a 6 mana 3. Like a 6 mana 8/8 is still probably too small to have a drawback if that's all it's going to do. Pick one of the first 2 cards of your library, fetch that card, move all cards that weren't fetched this way to the bottom of your library. It's okay, isn't it? It's a little bit too expensive at 4 mana. Probably rather just play with Artificer's Epiphany. We've seen things like this back through history, which have cost less, haven't they? There's a 2 mana one that looks at the top 3 cards of your library. But I guess it's okay. When an enchantment enters play under your control, for each enchantment you control, this creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Yeah, that's completely rubbish. Smoke Spirit's Aid. Your creatures gain Wicked Roll. That's the one that people like, isn't it? Yeah? Wicked Roll is the one that people like, but I don't like. Oh, yeah. Where's Wicked Roll gone? I can't have lost it. There it is. +1/+1 for each of their reinforcements, loses 3 life. Yes, that's what Wicked Roll does. Create a gold token for each creature with a roll on the battlefield. Bargain, deal 5 damage to each creature. I mean, I don't care. Maybe somebody cares about that. I don't care. When this creature enters the battlefield, target opposing creature gets stun counter 1. Pretty uninteresting. Pretty uninteresting. Just a little bit more powerful than you'd expect for a shitty common, but still rubbish. Solitary Sanctuary. When this support enters the board, target opposing creature gets stun counter 1. Okay, when a creature gets stun counter, your first creature gets +1/+1. Right. Just generally low power. Wasn't there an 8 mana one that gave something stun counter 4 or stun counter 3? Well, this is giving it stun counter 1. We don't care. Not good enough. Song of Totem Dance. When you match red gems, if this card is in your hand, increase this card's level by 1. Yeah. It's not going to be good enough. We can tell already, can't we? Oh, create X Rat Swarm tokens. Now, those are the things that deal a damage. X is equal to these cards' level. Creatures you control get haste. Now, those are supports. Oh, yeah, they're supports. They're not creatures. So, yes, I mean, that is not powerful enough, isn't it? Definitely not powerful enough. When this creature enters the battlefield, other creatures gets -X/-X. Not till end of turn, you notice. X is the number of creature cards in your graveyard. Then exile all creature cards from your graveyard. I mean, I shouldn't complain, should I? I've been asking for cards that give things -X/-X, and then it doesn't wear off at end of turn. And they've given me one here. This isn't a particularly good one. I mean, you can't, even though I've been asking for things like that, people aren't going to play them, you know? It's all very well printing cards that give things -X/-X or that deal damage to things, but while cards exist that just kill things, you're going to play with those, aren't you? Don't like it. Drain X mana from your opponent's hand. X is 2 times the number of fairy cards. Very rubbish. The first card in your opponent's hand has less than 1 mana. Yeah, they love this mechanic, don't they? They love this. You're going to drain it and then they're going to discard it. It's a terrible mechanic and we all hate it. Nobody gives a shit. Stop doing it. When you match a white gem by swap, target creature gets a sorcerer roll. Okay, just give something the sorcerer roll. When this creature enters the battlefield, your opponent discards the last card without mana from their hand. That's bad. Drain 5 mana. That's rubbish. We might have even seen that one before. Who knows? Destroy target opposing creature with flying. Otherwise, destroy an opposing enchantment or artifact card at random. Create a food token. Bit expensive. Don't really care. Guess you might play it in PvE. Why would you care? Just play with a deck that you like in PvE. Whatever. When this creature enters the battlefield, target creature you control gains the cursed roll. That's the thing that turns it into a frog, isn't it? Again, you definitely, it's most definitely a downside. I'm concerned about this. We've seen a lot of these absolutely terrible creatures. A 4-mana 3/2 is not. It's not a creature that can have a downside on it. Just a downside. It's concerning, isn't it? It makes you wonder if Webcore are coming in and they just don't know their asses from their elbows. I know we're supposed to be cutting them a little bit of slack at first, but you know, if they're designing cards for the game, they haven't played more than 3 actual games of the game yet, which they might not have done. Let's face it, they might have come in and started designing cards without ever actually having played the game at all. That's entirely possible. But this doesn't look like an Octagon card, does it? Octagon have never made anything like this. And yet here we are, we've just seen 2 of them in quick succession in this set. This is kind of a new thing for the set. It's concerning. Splashy Spellcaster. I mean, I like the name. We like splashing, definitely. When you cast a spell card, target creature you control gains a sorcerer roll. Fetch the first non-creature card from your library. Convert 2 gems to blue. I mean, there's a little bit of an engine going on here, isn't there? Every time you cast a spell card, it's unlimited. It's going to fetch the first non-creature card, and it's going to convert 2 gems to blue. So there's a little bit of an engine going on here. We've kind of already got. I'm hearing reports from people that you can still do loopity things with Blade Core Serpent. It's a little bit harder now to do loopity things with Blade Core Serpent and whatever cards people are using. I don't know what cards people are using, but so I don't know. I don't. It is definitely an engine card, this, but it might be too poor to be a useful one. Stone Splitter Bolts. Yeah, that's bad, isn't it? When you match a red gem by swap, increases card's level by 1. That's presumably if it's in your hand, given that it's a spell. Yeah, I mean, fuck off, right? Destroy target creatures. There's only so many ways that you can write cards that don't say destroy target creature on them. You know? Just make cards that kill creatures. Just do that. We've definitely seen that before. I recognise the art. Destroy an opposing Vanguard support if you can't destroy target creature. That's pretty good. For 6 mana, that's a pretty decent removal spell. It's in white. Yep, the white players will definitely be liking that. Destroy Vanguard, destroy a creature, create a human token under your opponent's control. I mean, extremely useful, isn't it? It's a cheap turn to frog. Now, strictly speaking, this is written as if it'll destroy your own creature, but that wording is getting very vague recently. A few cards have been printed recently that say destroy target creature on them, but they don't let you destroy their own creatures. Webcore, if you're listening, we like to destroy our own creatures because this game is really easy. It's really easy to win this game. It's definitely easy to win too fast before you have achieved the objectives in a coalition event, and that costs you points, you see. So that's why we like to destroy our own creatures. It's a thing that we like to do. So just make sure that we can do it, please. But I mean, that's a really solid card, isn't it? No notes. destroy target creature, you see. None of this, oh, increase its level, and then you have to blow up one of your own things, and if you do, then you can deal twice as much damage equal to its... No, destroy target fucking creature. That's how it's done. Do it like that. So come to the co-op. The two opposing creatures get stun counter 1. Not powerful enough. When this creature enters the battlefield, get a food token. When a food token is destroyed. Yeah, that's the kind of shitty common we're used to seeing, isn't it? Sir Armont the Redeemer. When this creature enters the battlefield, target creature you control gains monster roll. That's +3/+3. The beginning of turn, creatures you control that have enchanted or a roll get +1/+1. Yeah, that's not big enough, is it? It's some amount of beef on the table. Yeah, some mastery card, but generally not big or interesting enough. Sir Ginger, the Meal Ender. At the beginning of your opponent's turn, if your opponent has 10 or more loyalty, this creature gains hexproof. Okay, not sure we really care about that, but whatever. When another artifact card you control is destroyed or loses a reinforcement, this creature gets +1/+1. Fetch the first artifact card from your library. Okay, it doesn't gain any mana, but it's a permanent buff, and it's a fetchity fetch. And of course, it triggers off food tokens. That's what we're supposed to think. When this creature dies or loses a reinforcement, you gain life equal to this creature's power. Not especially interesting. When you match an artifact support's gem, this creature gains Berserker. Well, that's the killer, isn't it? You don't really want it to die. It's all very well that it'll die and you'll gain a little bit of life. But don't you want it to just stay in play and keep fetching your artifacts and keep getting bigger? It's a food knight. It's not actually an artifact itself, which is interesting. It doesn't actually fetch copies of itself, does it? Not powerful enough. That's all I've got to say there. Tajik. We've seen him before, haven't we? Oh, well, this is a masterpiece, so presumably it's a reprint from a different set. Because, yeah, Tajik, of course, will be a member of one of the guilds of Ravnica and not somebody who hangs around on Eldraine. At the beginning of combat on your turn, create a knight token. That'll be a 2/2 vigilance. Okay. It gains haste until end of turn. Then haste wears off. That's important. When this creature attacks, celebration, this creature gets +5/+5 and gains vigilance until the beginning of your next turn. Okay, so it's got prevent damage, and you can give it vigilance. So I mean, I guess that's okay, isn't it? I mean, people like Rem Carolus a lot. Rem Carolus has got prevent damage, and you can do things to have vigilance. This actually has both tools written into it, doesn't it? This actually has vigilance and prevent damage. The only thing is you have to actually cast 2 cards in your turn to give this thing vigilance. So I mean, it's fine. I'm not sure I particularly care. I suppose we do have things like Phyrexian Vindicator at the moment that have vigilance and prevent damage. You don't have to jump through hoops. So yeah, I suspect people won't be caring at all about Tajik. Sorry. Exile target creature. Yeah, okay, we like that. 10 mana's a bit expensive. Then, if you control an enchantment card, pick one of the first 3 support or spell cards from your library, fetch that card. This is fine. It's a little bit too expensive for me. It's a little bit... I appreciate the fact that you're spending a little extra mana on the fact that you're fetching a card, and you're getting a little bit of choice about what it is. I would prefer to just play a cheaper spell that just kills a thing, you know? Or a spell like Void Ren that costs about the same but kills more different things. But that's okay. That's an okay card. Talion we've seen. Talion's Messenger, I'm pretty sure we've seen. When a fairy creature you control attacks for the first time, Discard a card, then draw a card. And fairy creature you control get +1/+1. When a fairy creature you control attacks for the first time during your turn. So does it mean if you've got 3 different fairies, they'll still trigger 3 times or not? Who knows? I think we still don't care. That's the thing about it. Tangle Wire. At the beginning of your turn, this support loses 1 shield. Then target opposing creature gets stun counter 1. Right, we don't like stun counter 1. But this is in effect stun counter 5, isn't it? Or 4 or 3. It's probably going to get hit once or twice. Just living in play. But that's a reasonable kind of removal spell, isn't it? To take something out of play. Tangle Wire in paper, of course, hits more than one thing and is therefore better. This is only hitting one thing, because by the time you know, it triggers, you give something stun counter 1, and then by the time you give something else stun counter 1, that stun counter 1 has worn off the other thing. It's okay. It's not really worthy of being a masterpiece, is it? It's okay. It's okay. Do I prefer this to, like, say, Suppression Bonds? I mean, maybe. Suppression Bonds does, you know, it costs 6, but it only has that 1 shield, doesn't it? This is going to stay in play for quite a lot longer. You can reinforce it. This pops out, back out into play with things like Starfield or even Hannah. It's okay. It's an okay card. This creature can't block. Right, well, that doesn't make any difference because it's going to fucking berserk anyway, isn't it? When this creature is dealt damage, create X Rat Swarm tokens. It's equal to the damage dealt this way. Right. So basically, when it attacks something, damage dealt. Yeah, I don't like the Rat Swarm deck. I'm sorry. It's okay, the Rat Swarm deck. I don't like it. I'm kind of not interested in it. Putting all these 1 shield supports into play. They're all just a bit weak, aren't they? Somebody's going to die to the Rat Swarm deck. I don't know if it's going to be me. I don't think it's going to be me. I'm pretty sure it's not going to be me. But somebody's going to build a Rat Swarm deck, and some people are going to die to it. I don't like it, though. Tangle Span Lookout. When an aura card enters the board under your control, or you cast a spell card that targets a creature you control, draw a card, it gains 3 mana. Not powerful enough. Tattered Ratter. Is this a Rat Swarm? This is another Rat Swarm. Come on, let's have a good Rat Swarm. Let's have a Rat Swarm card that makes me think, actually, do you know what? I am going to play the Rat Swarm deck. When a rat creature you control becomes blocked, it gets +2/+0 until end of turn. If that creature dies, create a Rat Swarm token. Not interesting. This isn't even a rat creature. This is a human creature. When a rat support you control is destroyed or loses a reinforcement, deal 2 damage to the first opposing creature. If you can't, deal 2 damage to your opponent's planeswalker. I still don't like the Rat Swarm deck. I'm sorry. Pretty sure we've seen this card before, haven't we? You cast a big thing. It's +1/+1. Still have 2 cards. I mean, this is better than a lot of commons in Origins, you know. I'm not going to play it, though. I've decided to make commons a bit more powerful recently. Pick one of the first 4 spell cards in your graveyard. Move that card to your hand. It gains 9 mana. Okay, well, we like that, but we have to bargain in order to do it. We have to throw away a roll, a support, or none. Oops. Where are we? Tenacious Tome Seeker. So, you see, we're not generating an extreme amount of value by bargaining there. When this creature attacks, destroy the top 2 cards of your library. Yeah, and it's only going to bargain once, isn't it? It's not like it's going to bargain. Yeah, it feels like the City's been written in there the wrong way round, isn't it? What you want is to put the cards into your graveyard and then fetch the cards out of your graveyard. But this guy does this in the wrong order. Don't like. The end. Now, apparently people used to like this, but they've nerfed it since people liked it. Maybe they still like it. Who knows? Let us see. This is a flash enchantment support, apparently. If this card is in your hand, if you have 15 or less life, reduce this card's cost by 6 until the beginning of your next turn. Dangerous. I mean, you're probably going to die if you've got 15 or less life. There are, of course, hacks you can do by playing low-level Planeswalkers, but they're just not reliable, playing low-level Planeswalker things. Certainly not in coalition events, because you just get matched against the level 60 at some point. You can't rely on playing low-level Planeswalkers as any kind of guaranteed exploit. So we're not really interested in that. When this support enters the board, exile target opposing creature. Okie dokie. So it's an expensive removal spell. The cost reduction is shite. At the beginning of your turn, exile all cards in your opponent's hand with equal mana cost. Comma. Okay, I thought that was a full stop. With equal mana cost, base power, and toughness as the last card in your opponent's exile. I mean, I don't know. That seems like it's not going to hit a lot of things, doesn't it? So you're exiling the creature. Okay, you are at least exiling the creature. I mean, there are ways of exiling things. This is a black card. You can play with Ashok, who will just exile things directly from your opponent's deck. Or exile all cards in your opponent's hand with equal mana cost, base power, and toughness as the last card in your opponent's exile. Right. It means mana cost, base power, and toughness, isn't it? For some reason, I started reading that as mana cost, base power, or toughness. Basically, it's saying identical cards, isn't it? So you exile a card with this, it goes into your opponent's exile, and then if they happen to have another copy of it in their hand, it's going to get exiled. And I don't like it. Sorry. No, I'd rather just play a much cheaper removal spell, and then when the next thing comes along, you know, they've had to pay for it anyway, I'll just play another removal spell. Don't like it. The Goose Mother. This is like a Goose Hydra. It is, it's a bird Hydra. When you make a blue or green match, if this card is in your hand, this creature gets +1/+1. Okay, doesn't seem like that's going to be too good. When this creature enters the battlefield, create X food tokens. When you match as food supports gem, draw a card. Yeah. What is it? It's not powerful enough. That's what it is. Pick one of the first 4 creature cards in your library. Move that card into play under your control. Okay. The bargain's going to be a downside, isn't it? No. The bargain appears to be a second effect. Interesting. So you're paying 16 mana to get one of the first creature cards from your library into play. And then you can bargain to do it again. That's okay, isn't it? It's okay. It doesn't seem especially broken. Because 16 mana is a lot, that's the thing. It seems pretty good. But only pretty good, I think. I'm just thinking, what type of cards do you want to put into play with this? Lord Xander is a kind of thing that you're generating value if you put a Lord Xander into play. Blade Core Serpent, you probably don't care. You're finding Blade Core Serpents yourself. You're doing loopy things with Blade Core Serpents yourself. You probably don't care about having this in a Blade Core deck. Rocco, yeah, you don't care. You've got that whole problem with X mana with Rocco, haven't you? So this is a decent card, but it's a bit balanced, isn't it? It seems like. Seems like it's a bit balanced. And as such, maybe we don't particularly care. It's decent enough. It might find a home somewhere. Might find a home somewhere. 2 damage to target creature. Bargain. 4 damage instead. Gain 1 mana. Jesus Christ, fuck off. Totentance, the Swarm Piper. Here we go. It's Rat Swarm deck time. When a creature you control dies or loses a reinforcement, create a Rat Swarm token. It's a shame he doesn't replace Rat Swarm tokens that die with Rat Swarm tokens. That would be interesting, wouldn't it? You get a lot of Rat Swarm tokens like that. He's not going to do that, though. Activate 4 black or red. Target rat creature you control gains death. I don't like it. I don't like the Rat Swarm deck. I don't like it. When this creature enters the battlefield, create a food token. Ooh. When you match an artifact supports gem, your first creature has +2/+9. It's very, very, very low power and rubbish. Bargain. When this creature enters the battlefield, destroy an opposing artifact or enchantment card with the greatest mana value at random. So not really at random then in that case. I mean, just play with Demolish. I mean, yes, okay. Okay, this doesn't... Demolish doesn't... will hit tokens, and this won't hit a token. This is going to hit an expensive thing, but a much better support removal than that. That don't make you throw away something of your own that you own. So no. What do we got? Activate 2 green. The first card with base cost 15 or greater in your hand gains 5 mana. Activate 1 blue. Yeah, we don't care. We've seen that before. What's this? 4/4 ward, drain 3 mana from your hand. So that's uninteresting to just have a creature with ward. Swift Spiral, exile target non-token creature. That's fairly cheap though, isn't it? We were expecting that to be a bit more expensive, that effect. You're flickering something there. Return the last creature from its controller's exile to the battlefield with its reinforcements. It's okay. It's not my kind of thing, but it's okay as a card, isn't it? Somebody might like it. Maybe somebody will like it. Who knows? We've just definitely seen that. We remember the art. 2-headed hunter. Target creature gaining double strike for 8 mana. I mean, I guess. Oh, until end of turn. Right. Up the beanstalk, we saw that. Uriel the Miststalker. I don't think we've seen this one already. I recognise this from earlier Magic sets. This looks like a snow. What was that? What was that snow set they did that was supposed to be a follow-up set to Ice Age that they did years later? I think it's a member of that set, whatever that's called. This creature enters the battlefield. Target creature you control gets a monster roll. So you've got a 5/5 +3/3. Beginning of your turn, this creature has +3/3 for each aura card in play and in your graveyard. Yeah, just some big fat. It does have hexproof. So I mean, okay. Doesn't have haste. I mean, some people might prefer playing this to Gaia's Revenge. You don't know. It doesn't seem that difficult to make this larger than Gaia's Revenge, doesn't it? You can be dumping cards into your graveyard yourself. It doesn't have haste, but Yes, all right. Definitely at least high shit tier. Moving along. Vantress Transmuter. Cursed Roll and Stun Counter 1. Cursed Roll is the, is the turning into a frog. Isn't it? Cursed Roll. So your creatures with Cursed Roll come 1/1. Do you make your opponent, if you give your opponent's creature Cursed Roll, do you make them create the token? Because you'd have to, wouldn't you? Have they even thought about this stuff? Who knows? I mean, is that a turn to frog? Is that a 5-mana turn to frog? Is that what that's saying? Because that looks to me like it's a 5-mana turn to frog. Admittedly, that the frogness of it wears off. It doesn't lose its. Hang on, going back to read this again. Yeah, it doesn't. If you make something on 1/1, it doesn't lose its other abilities, which might be a bit of a problem. But there might be a place for that. It might be a place for that as a removal spell. Doesn't, but as I say, it doesn't really remove things, does it? You know, it gives it stun counter for a turn. It turns it into a 1/1, but at the end of the day, it's still in play, whatever it is. I guess when you turn to frog something, like if I turn to frog your GR, you can play another GR, and if it's a GR, if I turn to frog, if I croaking curse, if I give a cursed roll to your GR, however I'm going to do that, it's got hexproof, I know. But then if you play a second one, the second one is a 1/1, isn't it? It's reinforcing the 1/1. Who knows? That might be an interesting card to play around with. I might decide I like that after some time. 5 mana's good, isn't it? It might be an okay card, that. Activate 4 green. As long as your opponent controls a creature with Defender, Reach, or Vigilance, creature gains unblockable. Right. Or could have just written unblockable on that card. Yeah. Have we seen all of the virtues? I'm pretty sure we saw all of the virtues the other day. Draw a card against 3 mana and outcast. When a source you control deals non-combat damage to your opponent's planeswalker, last card in your hand with outcast gains mana. There was something about outcast and spells. Well, this appears to be not doing that. There was a card somewhere in the set that actually only gave outcast to spells, and we liked it, but that doesn't seem to be what this is doing. This is just giving outcast to something. So if it happens to be a permanent, then you're just fucked, aren't you? Deal 4 whole damage to any target for 7 mana. Yeah, whatevs. Knowledge, Virtue of Knowledge, we definitely did consider. 13 mana there on the flip side. Virtue of Loyalty, we looked at this. 4 mana for a white Vigilant Knight token, which is nice and cheap, but we sort of really care about having a white Vigilant Knight token in play. Virtual Persistence. Beginning of your turn, 1 of 4 creatures. Yeah, that's all good. Target creature gets -3/-3. Yeah, we looked at all of these cards and we decided that some of them were good. Yeah, now that we know that Virtue of Knowledge, like I say, now that the creature permanently gets the Knowledge emblem, which means when you reinforce it, it's not going to copy itself. We're a little less excited about it. But I think we're still fairly excited about Virtue of Knowledge. We're still fairly excited about, well, quite excited by Virtue of Persistence. We still don't care about Virtue of Strength. Let's move on. Oh, it's a Rat Swarm one. Oh, this is going to be a common Rat Swarm one, though. So this obviously has to be shit. Can't make good common cards. What would the world be coming to if there were good common cards? Rat Swarm tokens, blah, 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 blah. Warehouse Tabby. When an enchantment you control is destroyed, create a Rat Swarm. This creature gets Death Touch. Whatevs. Weirfox Bodyguard. I don't know if we remember this. When this creature enters the battlefield, exile target creature without the fox subtype. Now that's interesting, isn't it? I mean, I don't think we've had foxes before, have we? So there are only foxes in this set, I believe, I think. So this is a pretty good removal spell. I don't mind having, you know, if you're limiting the subset of things that a removal spell will work on to almost all of them, I think I'm okay with that generally. It's got flash. It's a 2/2 defender. I don't even mind that. You know what I mean? The important part of the card is it's a removal spell. And I mean, if it, yeah, okay, if it's going to sit in play and it's going to chump block and prevent a little bit of damage, why not? I think there should be a lot more creatures with comes into play abilities that are defenders. I think, you know, things like Harbinger of the Tide should just have defender on them, because we all hate defender because they tend to use defender on things that they think are going to be creatures they want to defend. We don't want it on creatures they want to defend. We don't want it on anything really. But if you put it on a comes into play creature, yeah, the creature's already done everything we want out of it, and then it blocks and dies, fine. When this creature leaves the battlefield, gain 4 life. So yeah, I mean, it's just a little bit of, it's a removal spell, and then it just prevents a little bit of damage, doesn't it? It blocks one time, gains you a little bit of life. I mean, it's fine. It is quite expensive for a removal spell, a 12 mana removal spell, but it's okay. Will it make the cut at 12 mana? Probably not. I feel like it won't, especially when, you know, when you consider we could be playing with, for 6 mana, we've got a white spell that gets rid of a vanguard or a creature and gives your opponent a human. You're thinking this probably won't make the cut. Oh, hello, there appears to be a lot of chat. Why does the chat never show? There's all the chat. I turn my chat on. It never shows up. Look, it's all come up on my screen. You can see it, can't you? Yeah, it's all up on the screen. I didn't know that was going on in the background. Oh, hello. Did I just do that? The quality of the video has just gone crap now, so you can't read the card. Did I just do that by turning the chat on and off? Is there anything I can do to make the video quality come back? No, I'm definitely going to have to look into this because it's crap in it. The fact that the video quality's gone rubbish. Anyway, what I was going to say was just hello, everybody who's in the chat. I didn't notice you'd come in, I'm afraid. Let's move on from Weirfox Bodyguard. Only a few cards left now. When an enchantment you control is destroyed, your opponent loses 3 life. We don't care. Do we like the artwork? I think so. Are those mouths? I think I like the artwork. Yeah, I think it's pretty good. We don't like the card. We don't care about the card. Wild Research. Oh, there's Alan Moore. Wild Research. This is the same colours as Gen, isn't it? Maybe it's that good. Maybe it's as good as Gen is. Mana Field. Draw 2 cards. Good start. Discard a random card without mana from your hand. We don't really like that, but since it's a card without mana, easy come, easy go. Let's look at it in those terms. Then, each enchantment, spell, or card with adventure in your hand gains mana equal to the number of enchantments, spell, cards, or cards with adventure in your graveyard. Now, I don't know about you, but if I'm playing with this card, I'm going to be putting quite a lot of those in my graveyard. I'm going to be playing with Time Reversal. I'm going to be playing with Rel. I'm going to be making sure there's quite a lot of enchantments, spell cards, and cards with adventure in my grave. I probably won't care about cards with adventure. I'm probably just going to be about enchantments. This card itself is an enchantment. I mean, that's good, isn't it? I mean, obviously it only triggers the one. We know Mana Field. I'm always falling into this trap. Mana Field only triggers once in a turn. So it's not like you're going crazy 8 loopy bonkers with this shit. But I mean, that seems decently powerful. So this, for me, this card is going to have to go up against Renin 6. That's the card that I use in the late game to fill all my cards in my hand with mana. Yeah, see, this is only putting mana into cards that are enchantments, spells, or adventures. Which is kind of okay. We kind of don't want that. It's not putting cards mana into vanguards. But it's not doing it straight away. If you were to play this turn 1, you don't have a lot of stuff into your graveyard. You know? So I play Renin 6, the Vanguard Renin 6, and I always thought it was kind of a land, you know. You put cards into your graveyard and it converts cards into gems. I always saw it as kind of a land. And then it occurred to me after a while that basically I'm using it in the same way that everyone uses Tamiyo, the Vanguard Tamiyo. You know, they put it into play, and then after a few turns, it's filling their whole handful of mana, you know, when it gets up to 7 shield. And this is kind of going in that same slot, isn't it? Yeah. It's a card that, you know, it's after a while, it's just generating an awful lot of mana. So that's what I'm thinking. I think it's jockeying for position. When I'm building my deck, it's jockeying for position with Tamiyo and Renin 6, and I'm not sure it's making the cut. Yeah, given that it's not actually putting mana into creatures and it's not putting mana into vanguards. You're getting a little bit more value out of it early on. Your Tammy early on, all it does is draw a card. That's rubbish. This is a bit cheaper than that. You're drawing 2 cards when you mana field. You still have to actually mana field it. Yeah, I mean, this is a good card. But you see my thought process, yeah? I'm placing it alongside other cards that are comparable, and I'm thinking I'm probably going to find it wanting compared to those cards. Don't mind it. I'm not going after it, though. I'm not chasing that one. If it shows up, it shows up. Will Sign of Peace, yeah, we know all about him. Pretty good, we think. Target creature gets the Wicked roll. Oh, I like that artwork. It's nice and warm, isn't it, that artwork? Lovely warm colours. Then discard a card, then draw 2 cards. What's Wicked roll again? Wicked roll. Is Wicked roll the good one that people like? I keep calling it the good, even though I don't like it myself. Yeah, Wicked roll's the good one that people like. I imagine people really like this card then. If it's giving things the good roll and you discard a card and draw a card, maybe people really like that. I mean, I've already forgotten what all the other cards in the set that give different things different rolls are. So maybe this is a pretty poor example of a card that gives something the Wicked roll. But I imagine people probably like this card. Not sure that I do, though. Yenna, Red Tooth Regent. Oh, hello. This is the last card in the set. So let's see where we are. Yeah, looking online at my video feed, and it looks like you still can't see the text on the card very good. I'm going to have to definitely address this. Anyway, let's get this card out of the way. 16 mana 4/4 is a bit small, isn't it? Activate 4, that's nearly enough. We kind of like we don't mind Activate 5. We like Activate 7 on Scheming Fence. Anything like Activate 2 or 3, we generally don't give a shit about. Activate 4 is a bit hard. A little bit hard. Create a copy of the first enchantment card from your graveyard in your hand. That copy gains full mana. Well, that's not bad, actually, is it? that's not bad. So it feels like in a given turn though, like if you set up a cut your losses, it's going to pop most of those activate gems anyway. And so what I'm saying is that in any given turn, all of those activate gems you hit are probably all going to copy the same support, which may or may not be a problem. Obviously, over a series of turns, the top card in your graveyard is going to change, but in a given turn, it's probably going to copy the same one. You know, it would be nicer, wouldn't it, if it pulled that support out of the graveyard, really, and put it into your hand. Then at least if you pop 3 gems in the same turn, you get 3 different supports rather than 3 reinforcements of the same support. Still, that's okay. If you control a creature with a roll, target creature you control gains the royal roll. Then this creature gains vigilance. Is this all part of the... Is this all part of the Activate 4? I'm a little confused by the paragraph break there. I mean, it must be, mustn't it? Because it certainly doesn't happen when the creature comes into play. If you control a creature with a roll, target creature you control gains royal roll. I mean, that's not a permanent effect that's happening all the time, is it? So this must all be part of the Activate 4. I have noticed this through the set that they've been doing paragraph breaks in weird places. Then this creature gains vigilance until the beginning of your next turn. Fetch the first enchantment or spell card from your library. So I don't give a toss about vigilance. The royal roll is a bit ward. Yeah, I don't think we like it really. I mean, it's generating a certain amount of value, isn't it? Off that Activate 4 is... It's certainly 4, it's 1 more than 3, and you're getting a bunch of enchantments, and they all get full mana. You know how much we like to see the words full mana being written on a Magic card. But it's all bound up behind a 16 mana 4/4. There are better ways to get enchantments out of your graveyard. Again, for example, isn't there? There's a better way to get... Even Wild Research is a better way, isn't it? I mean, obviously you're not re-getting enchantments out of your graveyard, but you're drawing cards and putting mana into them. Yeah, I'm not sure we like that. Not sure we like that. It's okay, but I'm not sure we like it. I definitely don't think we're going to be playing with it. 16 mana. Ooh. And then is that it? That looks like... Look, we can't go any further. That looks like that's it. That is the set. What do we think of the set? I mean, it seems okay, doesn't it? Seems like there's a larger number of playable cards in it than there has been in some sets in recent years. It's certainly not a Bro, is it? Or a DMU. They've made the common cards a little more powerful, which won't affect anybody's gameplay experience in the slightest. They've given us a bunch of really boring vanilla cards with downsides for no very good reason. That's a bit crap. But I mean, I think it's okay. I think there are some cards worth having. Yeah. Well, thank you very much for being present at my set review. And yeah, give it 3 months or so, and we'll do another one of those, shall we? I don't know if we're going back to Wilds, are we, after this set? I've no idea what's happening in the world of Magic the Gathering. I know they've just done a Doctor Who set, which I'd really like it if we could have that. I don't think we possibly can because of licensing issues. But like I say, if Big Finish can just, for years and years, can just produce audio dramas using the BBC's Doctor Who IP without bothering to pay them any money at all, then I don't see why why we shouldn't be able to have the Doctor Who set. The BBC are really funny about their licenses. And Russell T, he likes Big Finish, you know? He could have stamped his foot down when he joined on to start making Doctor Who again in 2005 and said, no, all these people are stealing our IP, sue the pants off them. But he was like, no, just fucking let them produce lots of free publicity for us. Why the hell not? So, yeah, so I'll write Russell T a note and I'll just say, hey, Russ, can we have the Doctor Who cards in Magic Puzzle Quest? He might just go, yeah, go on, why not? Who fucking cares? It's not costing us any money for you to have a load of cool Doctor Who cards, is it? I'd like to have Doctor Who. I don't even know what I feel about having Doctor Who in Magic the Gathering. I mean, it's stupid, isn't it? I don't like this universe is unbound or whatever they call it thing that Magic have started doing. It'll be just like Top Trumps next. You know, we're having footballers as bloody Magic cards. But I'm definitely rambling now. Thanks everyone for coming in, who did come in. I hope you enjoyed the stream. If anyone's got any idea why the video just goes shit after a while, I'll have to watch back the whole video and see at what point. It seems like it was me turning the chat on that made it go shit. But maybe it was shit before. I don't know. I wasn't really paying attention. Everyone will have gone now. Nobody's listening to me waffle on. Bye-bye, peeps. I'll see you all soon. And have a blast playing Magic the Gathering Puzzle Quest.